Welcome back, everybody,
to another week
of your favorite crypto podcast,
Sometimes Crypto,
the Unscripted
Crypto Podcast.
Ayo.
Hey yo. It's been a long one.
It's been quite some time since we last talked. I have to apologize for these late episodes because this is mostly my fault. I have a couple other things going on in life, particularly grad school, and assignments be assigning.
Assignments be assigning. That's a good way of saying it.
They being assigned for sure. So semester's over, guys. Got a couple weeks now. Plan on dedicating a lot of time and attention to you guys. We want to be able to produce good content and make sure you are fully up to date and up to speed with the developments of the blockchain world and how this will affect us financially in the future.
Ooh, the heat.
That being said, it has been a while. And we do have quite a few different topics that we could talk about today. And honestly, me being the Bitcoin bug that I am, I think 5 of the 6 things that I researched was all Bitcoin related.
So let's address
on
Bitcoin.
my end, this will likely be. Yeah.
Let's address the current Bitcoin situation, I guess, then.
Yep. Bitcoin's price is finally out of that very low consolidation period where it was looking pretty grim for a while. Sentiment was not high at all. Retail interest low. Yet institutions are still very deeply have high conviction on it, and the price is starting to move. Price of Bitcoin is starting to move, and there's a chart.
We have finally, after a couple weeks, closer to a couple months of a straight downtrend, we have broken out of that downtrend and are currently sitting at about 96,800 right after we peaked about 97,786. We are currently basically at where we fell off a cliff, which is right around here. This is where we just decided to jump off around this $95,000 region, and we're sitting a little bit above it. So we are in a good position to hit some more major resistance around 99 to 100,000. And then ideally, realistically, that would be a strong resistance zone. So we would be dropping back down to bounce on any of these support zones, which the real strong support zone would be around this 91,500. I was waiting to see if you had any comments to give.
Yeah. Bitcoin it's kind of considered to be expensive right now on the time horizon.
Definitely not cheap right now.
You
You could have been buying it at its very low for 74,000, but you all thought that wasn't the bottom yet, that we could keep on going lower. All you people is calling for $55,000 Bitcoin. Well, I was just going to add that Bitcoin, I was just going to say that Bitcoin could drop back down to that 91,000 region for a pullback zone, and that we're currently sitting at about a 94.92% Bitcoin dominance. And that it's continuing to push up. We could probably see it push up all the way from 67.51% to 71%. And maybe that 71% will be the Bitcoin dominance top.
Yeah, that's a high amount of activity for Bitcoin comparing it to other cryptos.
Yeah, alts are still.
We've talked about the correlation of Bitcoin dominance and altcoins, and what that means for the alts specifically in terms of really the ideal situation is Bitcoin dominance. If it's going up, the price of Bitcoin should also be going up. That's a decent sign for the alts to boom soon.
I wouldn't say boom, but yes, the price of alts are not going down if Bitcoin's going down, but they're not moving as fast as Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yep. And with that 71% top, what does that mean for the alts? If Bitcoin does reach that top, that much dominance.
If price doesn't go down, ideally it could mean that there is new money coming in, specifically to Bitcoin only, and that alts should hold and push up slightly. Once we get that top, you would want to see Bitcoin price start to maybe not push down, but relatively hold.
Stable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hold or push up, and dominance start to go down, so that alts can start moving freely. What we would call an alt season.
Yeah, that means that money is flowing, not necessarily out of Bitcoin because it should be holding the same price, but money should be flowing in from outside into the altcoins because there's just support there. There's a lot of momentum.
It's a complicated way. It's a complicated little thing, but yeah, you would see money moving away from Bitcoin while money is still coming into the market, so being divested. Dominance coming down, which would ideally theoretically push alts up, because it means there's more money going into the altcoin market than there is the Bitcoin market.
Yeah, I think the worst thing you want to see if you are an altcoin holder, the worst thing that you could possibly see is Bitcoin's price going down, followed by dominance going up.
Yeah.
Because that means money's flowing out of Bitcoin and out of the alts. And if it's flowing out of both at the same time, it means that it's going out of the alts faster than it is for Bitcoin, leading for the dominance to go up.
I think you may have contradicted yourself a little bit.
No, that was not.
If dominance is going up and alts are going down, it means money is being divested from alts into both Bitcoin and USDT.
Not if Bitcoin price is going down also.
That doesn't mean though that money is going into Bitcoin.
Not exclusively.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not
it's
exclusively,
exclusive.
but like ultimately what's going on is
money's
alts
flying,
are dropping faster than Bitcoin.
Yes, because money's being put into USDT.
Yeah,
it's a complicated thing. There's like 4 things moving at the same time.
Yeah, but that's kind of how like the fiat market works also, like Forex. Different companies, different countries start having different policies pushed, and the values of one currency in correlation to other currencies starts to change, and it's very dynamic. I would kind of akin the crypto market to the Forex market in that regard.
I'm not going to argue on this just because I don't have enough information to push back.
That means he agrees.
That means I agree. That means I agree until I can disagree.
essentially. But as it stands, interest in Bitcoin is going up globally,
Yes.
particularly for major institutions. We have more than one institution switching over to the same strategy that Micro has.
That strategy has?
The same strategy the strategy has.
Yo, he said it right off air.
I'm getting there.
When we weren't recording, he said it right.
Yeah. I'm getting there. I made the same mistake last week. Anyways, yeah, the blockchain group, which is a publicly listed Bitcoin treasury firm, just recently adopted this method back in November 2024, and they plan on acquiring a metric boatload of Bitcoin, like an insane amount. Their goal is kind of a range actually, but between 170,000 Bitcoin to 260,000 Bitcoin by the year 2034. That upper number, 260,000, could represent practically 1% of the total Bitcoin supply, more than 1% than what Bitcoin supply. And that's ambitious.
That's a pretty penny.
But well, it's more ambitious knowing that they only currently have 1,000 Bitcoin, with the goal of reaching 3,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year.
That's a lot of buying they need to do.
Mm-hmm. And then they plan on being like around the 100,000 Bitcoin mark by 2032. And essentially, it's worked out pretty well in their favor in terms of how much they're earning. Essentially, since they started back in November 2024, they've reported gains of 120% in that first month alone. After 3 months of changing over to the strategy model, they've seen 265%, and at the 6 month mark, they've seen 474% returns, gains, which is astronomical. So not only does this mirror strategies return, but also Metaplanet, which has been doing this since April 2024.
Well, on that exact same note, there's another company called 21 Capital that will also be adopting strategies, Bitcoin strategy. Their only message was buying. They were promising shareholders their only goal is to buy essentially as much Bitcoin as they can, and just continue to accrue Bitcoin per share, like always be growing it.
I feel like that's a really good metric to go based off of. How much Bitcoin do you have per share?
Yeah. And they already hold about 31,000 Bitcoin from what I Googled.
Yep. 31,000 Bitcoin?
31,500 Bitcoin.
That's a lot. Jeez. Okay, so if this is your first time here, guys, I think it's important to reiterate how big of a number that is, because me being the lonely individual that I am in this great world of whales and fish and all this, whatever, 1 Bitcoin is a metric boatload of Bitcoin. Like, it is such a large percentage, in my opinion, in correlation to how many people there are in this world, that it is insane. Essentially, like a goal of mine would be to be able to pass off one full Bitcoin as a family heirloom, and that would be, in the grand scheme of things, a shitload of money, because there's only 21 million Bitcoin in existence, with about 5 million lost already, like likely to never be accessed again, let alone Satoshi's wallet, which has a lot of Bitcoin, also biggest Bitcoin holder right so far, and that wallet has literally never been active.
Well,
So
since the day it was used, yeah.
one Bitcoin is a lot of Bitcoin for these major institutions to be buying up in the scale of hundreds of thousands.
And tens of thousands.
That's and tens of thousands, even, correct, or just thousands, really.
Yeah.
It's really those people who own that much money, like, not even capping, these people are going to be the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, and so on.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and mind you,
I'm sorry, continue.
on that same exact note that you're on, of the buying pressure there is and there will continue to be, strategy has announced they want to double their initial investment on how much money they want to put into Bitcoin. They want to add another 41 billion buying pressure. Well, they want to buy another 41 billion worth of Bitcoin from their original 41 billion.
They've doubled it, their expected amount of purchasing.
Oh, I said 40.
That's wild.
Excuse me. They want to raise it up to 84 billion total.
Okay, yeah, 40. What's a couple million at that level? I suppose.
We want to be accurate.
2 million.
They want to offer 42 billion in fixed income and 42 billion in equity to do this.
Yeah, that's actually kind of insane. They are buying up an insane amount. They're doing it. Strategy is doing it on the riskier side than normal, because they are leveraging their assets to buy. So that being said, I feel like it's important to kind of mention that if you're buying Bitcoin, you're buying just Bitcoin. But you also have the opportunity or the option of investing in strategy at the company, the stock. And that pretty much acts as a leveraged purchase of Bitcoin, because they're buying on leverage. However, the difference is, instead of you buying on leverage for Bitcoin, is they're kind of taking on the responsibility of making sure that it's a sound investment, keeping an eye on the market. So if you want a little bit more of a hands-off approach to leverage buying Bitcoin, I'd say MicroStrategy would be a good approach if you want extra exposure, more potential gain, with less risk as compared to investing it by yourself, on your own.
Yeah. Which they currently hold 553,555 Bitcoin at about an average price of 68,459.
Yeah, that's already a huge percentage of Bitcoin. About what, like 4 or 5%?
It's more.
And mind you, is it?
Yeah, year-to-date yield is 13.7%.
No, not yield. Percentage of,
Like up?
like, accumulation. No, of the actual total supply.
Oh,
You said
okay,
how much
gotcha.
they have?
They have half a million Bitcoin. A little over half.
500,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if 2,100 or 210,000 Bitcoin is 1%.
They have
420 is
about
2.
They have about 2 points on the percent of the total percentage.
So almost 3%. Almost 3% of a Bitcoin. And granted, I think that's an insane amount. However, also putting it into perspective, the billionaires of today's economy in dollars, they own a larger percentage of total liquid asset than that 3%. So the wealth distribution in Bitcoin is still significantly greater than the wealth distribution for fiat currency.
Mm-hmm.
However, with these institutions buying Bitcoin like there's no tomorrow, time for retail investors is running out. And the co-founder of the exchange aggregator 1inch, Sergey Kuhns, agrees with this statement. Matter of fact, he actually put out his own statement saying that, and I quote, "I'm pretty sure we'll soon see countries battling over who owns more Bitcoin, where retail investors will be priced out and won't even be able to acquire one." Mind you, one Bitcoin is a pretty penny, but still relatively possible for people nowadays. And soon, with this institutional buy-up, one Bitcoin will be a fortune.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was also news that Nvidia wants to put Bitcoin on its balance sheet to stabilize it.
Yep, that I'm not surprised. I'm literally not surprised that companies are hopping on this wave. It's smooth sailing. Smooth sailing.
A lot of buying pressures there.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, we have people who want to spend the Bitcoin, have access to some funds, but don't want to sell it. And thankfully, there are options coming back that used to exist, and are now returning, which is Bitcoin backed loans. For people who want to spend money for what they've earned, however, don't necessarily want to sell their Bitcoin. So the loan gives them an opportunity to pay off the loan and get control of their Bitcoin back, essentially removing it from collateral. The
Bitcoin
one
backed
company
loans
in
are back
particular
on the
that I'm
move.
talking about, is Coinbase. And William, don't be surprised if you start hearing more people talk about that in the next couple weeks. Because
Bitcoin-backed loans?
Bitcoin backed loans. Because loaning, taking a loan on your Bitcoin, is one of the ways that smart, savvy investors will be able to get some cash flow and even use that loan itself as a expense of sorts, and use it as a tax write-off. They can't tax you on anything you don't sell. So if you don't sell your Bitcoin, it's not a taxable event. And all this to say that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general really do give you, the user, the autonomy of becoming your own bank, because in reality this is what the banks do, their own, like with other assets. So I think I completely forgot to mention that Coinbase introduced the opportunity to take a loan against your Bitcoin back in January this year, actually.
Which you
Through a
already had it out
decentralized
before,
lending
right?
protocol called Morpho. They did. They stopped it though. There was another company that used to do this, Celsius, which multiple people got burned because of the whole FTX thing back in the last cycle.
And
but
Celsius
there's
is
other
also
companies
misusing
that do
funds.
this. Yeah, that's true. But I think Swan might be another company that lets you take out loans against your Bitcoin. And there's definitely more than one. But the reason why I mention it now is because Coinbase is a massive player in the industry. And for them to be so, initially they released $100,000 limit for a loan. You could take up a loan of up to $100,000 by using Bitcoin as a collateral. And in that time period, they saw, from then to now, more or less, they saw 4,211 wallets originating loans that were backed by Bitcoin, up to $227 million with on-chain collateral. So that is a significant amount of money and a significant amount of interest with only 4,211 wallets. By increasing that loan amount, Coinbase expects to be able to make a lot more money, and that's probably why they're increasing the loan amount.
Pretty penny.
And yeah, so Coinbase's vice president of product, Max Brandsburg, did reach out to another crypto reporting company called The Block, saying, and I quote, "We've received frequent requests for higher limits as customers discover the ability to access cash without selling their Bitcoin. And this update helps us better meet customers' needs. We're only 100 days in and excited to see where we can take crypto-backed loans from here." So based off that, I would say that crypto-backed loans does not exclusively mean Bitcoin. It might introduce Bitcoin Ethereum, Solana backed, XRP backed loans. Ultimately, you never sell your crypto. You never sell what you own. You only borrow against it.
Yes. Which at that point also, not your keys, not your coins, you're putting it at risk of whatever happens in the market.
That's true. I'm glad that you mentioned that. You have to do research as to how the process works, because Coinbase is pretty trusted so far, but still, trust is not a principle that's followed for the people who fight for decentralization. It's don't trust, verify. That's the slogan. That's the saying. So, multi-sig wallets, which is a bit of a technical term, but there are some ways to secure or add security to your collateral. Never just, so like if a company just reaches out to you saying, "Hey, we offer Bitcoin-backed loans. Send us your Bitcoin. We'll give you a bunch of money." That sounds like a scam. You're gonna have to do some some decent amount of research. For now, hopefully as this progresses, we will actually likely provide you with better information with what's available. But Coinbase does have a opportunity for you to take out a loan against your Bitcoin right now.
Awesome sauce. I remember that's what we used Celsius for, to take out a loan against our crypto.
Yeah, but so essentially what we did was we took out Celsius to take out a loan against our crypto and use it to buy more crypto.
Yes.
And that was working.
Until it wasn't.
And then whatever but that was greed. That was greed and ignorance or innocence. Just being young, and
Not
dumb.
knowing the market was about to correct.
Yeah, heavily. But also, we had FTX, like the second biggest crypto exchange at the time, committing a stupid amount of fraud, like the largest
Also.
amount of fraud the world had ever seen.
Also, that doesn't help.
Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried blew Bernie Madoff completely out the water with his Ponzi scheme.
This is a
And it was so big that it affected. It was so big it affected multiple. It affected the entire
crypto
industry.
market. Yeah. Well, what we're also starting to see is integration of Bitcoin into other assets. Remember? Oh, so you remember a few weeks back you talked about bonds and how I don't know.
Yeah.
You said the federal government. I don't know. You said the federal government, but you said bonds being issued with some sort of Bitcoin integration, right?
Oh, it was a company. It was a company that is issuing bonds for purchasing Bitcoin.
Okay, so I don't know if
And,
this was the same company.
The country of El Salvador issued bonds also to purchase Bitcoin, essentially.
Okay, so I don't know if I saw a video of a CEO explaining it. I don't know. It's probably the same company, but the way he explained it was, if the bond is worth 1,000, a percentage of that 1,000 is buying Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
and your yield will be paid out in whatever the Bitcoin went up in.
Okay.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a top, just because Bitcoin could grow exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
But you would be earning the yield, and worst case scenario, you were to get back your 1,000 plus whatever it accrued in Bitcoin.
Yeah, so it sounds like it was like a variable bond up until it was a fixed bond. So like variable up until 10% APY, where once it reached 10%, you get 10%. Even if it went up 15%, the company that issued that bond remains with with the remaining 5 difference.
Something like that. I wish I had the video. It was on Twitter, on X. I saw it there, but I'm pretty sure I bookmarked it, but I was never able to find it again, which sucks.
I see. Yeah.
On top of that,
sometimes.
it does. We also have our favorite real estate guru, Grant Cardone, involving Bitcoin in his next real estate deals.
Oh, okay. Interesting. How is he integrating Bitcoin into this?
So I would share the screen. Can you see it?
Yep, perfectly fine.
You can go ahead and read it if you want, since you read out loud better than me.
So, why Cardone Capital created real estate BTC fund? 1. Real estate state stability. Jeez. Historically, 8% to 15% IRR provided reliable anchor mitigating BTC volatility. You want me to read all of that, right?
Well,
1, 2, 3.
you should read the majority of it to get the full
Heard.
idea.
Okay. So, 2. Bitcoin's growth potential is 20 to 40% annual growth, significantly enhancing real estate returns. And 3, provides multiple exits for investors. Read at bottom. So, 5-year assumptions, only 8% real estate growth plus historical annual BTC growth. Real estate fair value, $1.5 billion. BTC 20% is $286 million. BTC 30%, APR or ARR is 416 million, and Bitcoin's 40% ARR is 592 million. So if the original $1 billion real estate only hits ARR of 8% IRR, and assumes Bitcoin hits an annual rate of return of 20 to 40%, the low would be 1.7 billion with a medium of 1.9 billion and a high of 2 billion, which translates to 160, 175, and 190%.
Yeah.
And then this looks like the exit scenarios that he mentioned before.
Yeah, this is how you would cash out, or
A,
how he would cash out.
Like cash out, yeah. A, sell the real estate at year 5. Investors earn $400 million on the real estate investment, 40%, and still own 1,149 Bitcoin with a zero cost basis because you already cashed out, plus 40%. Refinance real estate and return the $400 to $500 million of capital to investors, or buy more Bitcoin, which is more or less the same thing, but the difference is it's a refinance versus a sell. And
the option A has a tax implementation. Option B doesn't.
Yeah, correct. C, sell Bitcoin and return the capital to investors, owning $1.5 billion of institutional real estate debt-free with no cost basis. C, get blended BTC mortgage, so a blended real estate Bitcoin mortgage, against returning 100% of funds to investors with zero tax implications, and continue to own $2 billion of institutional real estate and Bitcoin, which is interesting. So in the first one, and C, where you sell Bitcoin and return capital to investors, means that cash out, and it looks like his project would remain with the real estate, but the investors get their return on the Bitcoin.
And then that doesn't matter. He's just there
5,
saying
public company exit.
Which again, I don't think he would do this. The option 5 is take the company
facility public.
But it is interesting to see a combination of a Bitcoin fund mixed with a real estate portfolio there.
Yeah. If original 1% of real estate only hits IRR. Okay, so my question is, wait, scroll back up. I'm curious as to how he distributes the funds from Bitcoin to real estate. So like, it doesn't seem to say it in the post, but my question is, let's say of that initial $1 billion, how is that being split between real estate and Bitcoin? I'm assuming the majority of the real estate expenses will only go for like down payments for the actual property with a loan, and then whatever's left would be used to buy Bitcoin.
Is Bitcoin. I assume it would be something like that.
It doesn't say it in the post, but that's my assumption.
He does not clarify. No, it doesn't specify. But yeah, it would have to be one of the two options. I mean, it'll be some sort of split between the two. I would assume probably 60-40. There's probably a lot of upfront costs to buying a building. But it is an interesting idea for a Bitcoin / fund, Bitcoin real estate fund.
Yeah, it looks like Bitcoin definitely does have a lot of new refound potential this cycle, because a lot of this stuff was mentioned last cycle for a fact. But as mentioned before, still a green market where, and I say green in terms of saying like not ripe, still immature and underdeveloped. But the idea and the concepts were there. Just now, the infrastructure is more built out and likely to have better results this time around.
Also,
Granted.
the price is at 90,000, and it recovered from 15,000 all the way back to 90 at a grand scale, like in front of many more eyeballs than it has in the past.
Correct. And that's not to say that there won't be issues like the last cycle. There likely will be, as mentioned in one of those comments for Grant's post. So I saw someone's like, new scam, not interested.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if the guy is right or wrong, but he has the right idea in being skeptical and keeping an eye out for potential ways that people might misuse your funds.
Also, but as an idea, though, it is interesting to see in how this can potentially go to a bank and you can use your Bitcoin, whatever percentage of a Bitcoin you own, to add some financial backing, especially as the price of Bitcoin continues to go up.
Yeah. Well, as mentioned before, with the whole Bitcoin backed loans coming around, and Grant talking about Bitcoin and real estate, I don't think it's a bad idea to loan out, to get a loan against your whatever Bitcoin you currently have, and using it to buy a property, so that you don't have to sell your Bitcoin. You're buying another asset that is fixed in supply to a degree, because real estate is limited to a degree, and there are likely a lot of tax benefits to doing it with that structure, as opposed to selling your asset and losing Bitcoin in exchange for property.
Yeah,
might be worth looking into. And Grant Cardone is not the only one who sees utility in Bitcoin. Obviously, Grant, huge financial figure, dude. He's worth billions now, right?
Yeah, he's been worth a couple billion for a while.
Yeah. So obviously, Grant brings a financial perspective to this, but there's other organizations that might not use Bitcoin and or blockchains for non-financial purposes. In particular, I'm referring to the CIA, how they will likely be using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as a tool, and specifically the deputy director Michael Ellis said against a fight against China and other adversaries.
Like who owns more, or like how?
He went. So for gathering intel, disrupting supply chains, influencing markets, and like whatever devious plans the CIA has in mind. And I say devious because they're plotting, and it tends to be like plots tend to be devious in nature. I'm not like
CIA, we love you.
Trying to start beef with this. I'm not trying to.
We want no problems.
With CIA. I'm just
no problems.
Freedom of speech. Keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. It's devious.
We are not gonna ourselves We're not.
That's actually a good point, William. Yeah, we have no intention of killing ourselves anytime soon.
Yeah, I didn't want to say
Anytime
because
at
then
all.
we get
Anytime at
shadow
all.
banned.
Oh, is that what happens?
0. Yeah, 0. We don't want to do that. We want to live happy-go-lucky lives. No matter if the rough
see.
get going, we keep on chugging along like Thomas the Train.
Yep.
Continue.
So essentially, Deputy Director Michael Ellis went on a podcast with that one famous dude, well, semi-famous, pseudo-famous dude, Anthony Pompliano.
He's
pseudo-famous,
pretty
'cause it's
famous.
very niche. Yeah, but it's also niche. Where Michael Ellis said, and another quote, it's another area of technological competition where we need to make sure the United States is very well positioned against China and other adversaries. He also added saying, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are another tool in the toolbox, yet it is also a target. We can disrupt our adversaries' use of it, and we can use these technologies to collect more intelligence, gather more information about them. And ever since the U.S. government started taking a more friendlier approach to digital assets, mostly because of the new administration,
Quite
companies
friendly,
and
to be
spaces,
honest. Quite bullish news.
yeah. So he continued to say, bad actors, whether they're drug cartels or terrorist groups or outlaw regimes, use cryptocurrencies, but they use other tools as well. Bitcoin is here to stay. Cryptocurrency is here to stay. As you know, more and more institutions are adopting, and I think that makes a great trend. That's everything this guy said.
Mm-hmm.
So, as time progresses, the amount of U.S. government agencies working with blockchain data firms to track cyber criminals and gather intel will continue to increase. Mind you, it already is happening. There are people out there auditing wallets and identifying who they belong to, tracking the movement, with the goal of it being for stopping crime, and national security specifically, since this is CIA. But OPSEC is super important from an individual point of view. It's something to keep an eye out for later as you grow your crypto wealth. But yeah, CIA's adoption and use of intel gathering from blockchains is increasing, and it's like there will be other forms of integrating blockchain technology across multiple industries. It's not just real estate, it's not just financial services, it's not just intel. It's going to be things from entertainment to hospitality and utilities. We're definitely on the cusp of more advancements in the near future. I still say 2 more cycles away for a significant change in how we see the world.
8 more years.
Yeah. For me,
2
the
more
biggest one is
presidents.
AI.
Oh yeah. I mean, AI is already
Decentralization is key,
disrupting.
guys. Yeah.
This is accurate.
And then, speaking about AI, we have Sam Bankman-Fried. I'm so sorry. That's not accurate. That's not Sam Bankman-Fried.
Sam Altman.
Sam Altman. Yeah. Jeez. I'm sorry, Sam. Altman. That's borderline insulting.
Borderline. I'm insulted for him.
Well, to be quite honest, Sam Altman isn't necessarily on my cleared list yet.
I agree with you, but
but he's
who's worse? One that steals all your information or one that steals all your money? Think about that. Who's worse?
The thing is, they're more or less the same thing.
No, but you see,
The only difference is that Sam Altman is very clearly saying that we want your information, as opposed to
exactly
Sam Bankman.
He's letting you know, I'm
we're
taking
not using
this.
your money. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
At least one isn't lying to you.
One's more transparent. Yeah,
He gave you the paperwork with the tiny letters. You didn't choose to read it.
that's essentially what Sam Altman is right now. Okay, but getting back to my point, we mentioned before, like probably a year ago at this point, if not longer, Sam Altman's WorldCoin and his iris scanning orbs.
It's his coin? I thought he's just a co-founder
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, co-founder. It's a product. Oh, like essentially, he's heading it to a degree. So I say his.
Fair enough.
But essentially, WorldCoin is a proof of humanity blockchain, essentially trying to map every person to a wallet address that is created with a scan of your iris. Essentially, your iris should be equivalent to like a fingerprint signature of sorts.
More
and
unique than a
these
fingerprint.
orbs, yeah, more unique than a fingerprint. So these orbs scan your iris and assign you a world coin or world chain wallet.
Correct.
The idea of this is to have a proof of humanity concept. It's like I'm not a bot because I'm signing this with my human signed wallet, right? Where bots could open up crypto wallets left and right.
They open up crypto wallets left and right.
They do. Essentially, this token was used initially in third world countries to kind of like make sure certain individuals are actually getting support and infrastructure that they were promised, like food supplies, saying, okay, scan this iris, you'll get some world token, and we'll use this to make sure we could track who got today's rations. That's kind of what it was used for, but that's like not the. It's just an immediate use case. It's probably not the end all be all. And getting back to the story at hand, they are bringing world orbs to start scanning irises to the United States. They will be starting off in San Francisco. And they will be deploying a total of 7,500 eye scanning orbs by the end of the year in the US.
A fair amount of orbs.
Yep. Fair amount of orbs. 7,500 orbs. About 400 million people in the United States. I wonder how many of those people will get their eyes scanned. We'll see.
I think 5% is a lot.
5% of the 400 million?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, just double it, make it 10 million. 10%. 10% of 400 million.
I see. 20 million people.
I think
a
that's
lot of people.
That's a metric crap ton. I don't think that many people are going to do it.
That's a lot of people, yeah. Wonder what the incentive would be. Because you will get world token coins, but...
You get
what
world
does
token
that-
for signing up with it, for signing your eyeball.
Well, what does that?
There are,
What does that translate to?
a couple bucks. Just that people don't trust
at
the chain, well, not the chain itself, and the running of the chain.
So yeah, so don't get me wrong, I do think it is a fundamentally needed like technology, chain use case. With the growth of AI, we need a way to identify what content was written by a human and what content was written by an artificial intelligent agent. And to be able to filter out some noise, some copy paste, essentially, what's original from human. However, there are issues that still need to be addressed, such as centralization. How decentralized is this world token? Because if it's not decentralized, then how can we ensure that the users are indeed?
They don't steal my
human?
irises. 100%. Yeah, no. Lot of questions to ask there.
Useful, but and will be necessary. I think that's something to keep an eye out on. I just probably won't necessarily be the first person to jump on right away, just because of the lack of clarity for what's being, like, what's the protocol.
Yeah. I will also not be jumping on that bandwagon.
Yep. But that's pretty much sums up all the stories I got today. Like I said, it was pretty Bitcoin heavy, except for that Sam Altman one.
You forgot a story that's really important.
I did. Do you care to remind the audience about this story?
Arizona State on the cusp of approving Bitcoin reserve bill.
Yes, sir. That's the
one signature away.
Jeez, one signature. Who's got to sign?
Yep. The governor. Katie Hobbs.
Katie Hobbs.
Yeah. All the other Bitcoin bills are in committees and in voting. It's they're still far from there, and the early stages.
Katie, gotta review that bill. Make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Kind of crazy, right? I find it kind of crazy that they have to go to through double committee, double Senate voting, to then still have to go to the governor to approve or disapprove.
Mm-hmm. Checks and
What's the
balances,
point?
My friend.
Yeah, but I already checked the matches 4 times over.
Yeah, but you checked it, but was it balanced?
That's what the other committee was for. That's why there's 4 committees.
So the committee kind of brings up the idea. There's an initial committee that brings up the idea and does a rough draft. Then they meet again and
no.
They find
then they have to decide
draft that they could propose to
correct
to the Senate of sorts.
Then they have to go to the Senate, and then the Senate resends it to the committee.
If they resend it to the committee.
No, it's as of right now there are 4. It's 4 stages. It's committee, Senate, committee, Senate.
Okay.
And then final approval.
Okay. Yeah, if it doesn't pass the Senate,
balance, check. That's what I'm saying, though.
No. The first 2 are just checks. It's check, balance with the governor.
Balance. What do you mean the first 2? It's going 4 times to commit. It's going twice to committee and Senate.
To the same 2 people, correct. And then the balance is the governor.
I disagree with that. One, the Senate has to be the balance if the committee's a check.
Nah, I don't think the committee's a check. the Senate's the check. Because the committee essentially would just need to get it signed by the governor. But the Senate's like, before you send it to the governor, I need to check this shit. Sorry for cursing.
Yeah, but the committee has to
like,
pass it.
The committee needs to agree on what they are agreeing on. Yeah, the committee needs to pass it. But that's just because, like, okay, it's like we're a ragtag team trying to push this idea. How should this idea be presented? Like, what are the actual, like, formulations of this idea? In this case, a Bitcoin reserve. Ultimately, we will present this idea to the governor and get it signed so it could become official law. But before we can show it to the governor, it needs to be checked by the Senate, because the Senate will not let us take it to the governor without them looking at it first. And then the Senate's like, no, this gives too much power to the states. This gives too much power to corporations. This gives too much power to whoever. Or it breaks certain laws. It doesn't fit this regulation, doesn't fit that regulation. Send it back to the committee. Committee has to make adjustments. Then that process is probably back and forth until the committee gets it approved by the Senate. Then the Senate's like, okay, this is a proposal that the governor can actually vote on, because it's not breaking any of our laws that are currently in place. It's balanced. It's up to their decision, and then that goes to the governor.
I say it should be giving up to the people. The people should decide if they want it or not.
Yeah, the protocol's not built that way right now. But you're not necessarily wrong.
I'm speaking from the heart.
We got a ways to go, but we're making progress for sure. Is there any idea of when the governor of Arizona is going to be signing?
No idea. It just says it's waiting for her to either sign off on or veto.
I see. Hopefully we get news of that.
And I have no idea what she's leaning towards. There's no idea. Yeah. So before we wrap up, I saw this tweet that I feel like you might have thoughts on.
Okay.
Let me see if I find it just so I can read it off exactly what it says. Give me 1 segundo.
I'll give you 2.
Damn, I might need more. I might need 5. So this guy just tweeted this out. I feel like it's engagement farming, but I think it's worth a conversation. The tweet reads, unfollow anyone claiming 0.1 BTC will retire your entire family, or claiming it will be generational wealth.
0.1?
He then tweet, yeah, a 1% of a Bitcoin.
Okay.
So he then tweeted to someone else. Yeah. No, 10% of a Bitcoin. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, 10%. Yeah.
10%. So someone tweeted, how many in your opinion? He goes, don't shoot me for my opinion. I'm 35 and thinking of my lifespan plus lifestyle and expenses and expensive cola. 5 BTC can retire wife and I in 15 years. 10 BTC can retire wife and I in 10 years. 20 BTC can retire wife and I in 5 years. And provide a good amount to leave for the next generation. But that's based on my price target. 2030, 300 to 400,000 Bitcoin price. 2035, 600 to 900,000 Bitcoin. 2040, 1.2 to 1.5 million per Bitcoin. And with the hope, BTC can maintain a CARG above 15 to 20 percent over the next 15 years as well.
So I think the guy has a expensive lifestyle. retirement is very vague. Depends on what lifestyle you want to live. Depends on how much money you need for retirement. Because 20 Bitcoin can retire a lot of people right away. Like easily. Because
How about like
Bitcoin's
right
currently
now?
sitting at 91,000. Yeah, like right now, 20 Bitcoin will retire a lot of people. That's $2 million practically. And typically, like, oh, you cash out 4% of whatever your gains are for the year. You should be able to live off of that. Depending on the rate of return, people could be able to retire. But then also the question is, how much time do you have left to live? Like, how long is your retirement going to be? Because you need to be able to plan out that expense. For relatively young people, I want to say people in their 30s, 0.1% of Bitcoin, 10% of a Bitcoin, assuming you hold that to your death and you pass it on to your kids or your descendants, yeah, that's significant. Like, assuming you don't spend that money, yeah, they're gonna be pretty good, well off. But maybe not enough for you to retire also, but they would be chilling. And then also his price predictions, I didn't fully catch because I was thinking about the whole $2 million Bitcoin price, 20 Bitcoin.
2030, he had 300 to 400,000. 2035, 500 to 900, and 2045, I think it was 1 million to 1.2 million.
In the next 25 years, 1 million to
15 years. Yeah.
15 years. $1 million Bitcoin in the next 15 years.
Correct.
I think he's a little off. I'd say probably 10 years.
So you're saying in 2 more halvings, it'll be $1 million Bitcoin?
Yeah. Yeah, in 2 more halvings, we'll see $1 million Bitcoin. That's my current prediction. Put that one in the archives. We'll see if I'm right.
2 more halvings, $1 million Bitcoin. You heard it here first.
Yep. I mean, I'm waiting for September. I already told someone, I was like, by September, you're going to see Bitcoin hit $150,000. I told them last year in September, and then he's like, heard. I'm going to make a note of that. Put a reminder in literally for 1 year. He put a reminder. He's like, oh, had Bitcoin hit $150,000? I'm confident in that one.
You got, 4 more months?
Yep.
Well, we're pushing up now. So we'll see what happens in 4 more months.
Yes, sir. And then, like, for example, Arizona, Bitcoin reserve, around the corner, strategy, buying like crazy. Metaplanet, buying like crazy.
Nvidia might start buying.
The blockchain group, buying like crazy. Nvidia, 21 Capital, buying like crazy. Like, it's not stopping. It's not going to stop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I'm confident in $150,000 Bitcoin.
By the time you see this episode, Bitcoin's currently at around 96,900. We would have hit 100K by the time you see this episode.
Oh, I was going to say, you know what I was going to say? I was like, but Bitcoin's currently around whatever price you just said. By the time you see this episode, write in the comments what the price of Bitcoin is.
That works too.
When you watch this episode, first thing I want you to do is go in the comments and say, hey, I watched this episode when Bitcoin was at X amount of dollars.
That's a good one.
But I think that's
I got nothing left now.
Yeah, that's all we got for today. I'm glad you guys stuck around and listened to us. And thank you for your patience with some delayed in production.
Like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, tell Alex he's pretty.
I have to do that last part. But thank you for coming around. I hope you've enjoyed another episode of Sometimes Crypto.
What? His brain farted.
I'm actually kind of hungry. That's what's happening. I thought you heard my stomach growl.
I did hear it. Sometimes Crypto
podcast. The unscripted.
Okay. Crypto podcast.
Heyo.
Heyo.